39th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. His new book is called Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. And President Carter, why did you use the word apartheid in the book's title?
There's no doubt that within the occupied territories, Palestinian land, that there is a horrendous example of apartheid. The occupation of Palestinian land, the confiscation of that land that doesn't belong to Israel, the building of settlements on it, the colonization of that land, and then the connection of those isolated but multiple settlements, more than 200 of them, with each other by highways on which Palestinians can't travel, and quite often where Palestinians cannot even cross. So the persecution of the Palestinians now under the occupied territories is under the occupation forces is one of the worst examples of human rights deprivation that I know. And I think
even worse though than a place like Rwanda.
About Rwanda if you want to. I want to talk about Palestine. What is being done to the Palestinians now is horrendous in their own territory by the occupying powers, which is Israel. They've taken away all the basic human rights of the Palestinians, as was done in South Africa against the blacks. And I make it very plain in this book that the apartheid is not based on racism, as it was in South Africa, but it's based on the desire of a minority of Israelis to acquire land that belongs to the Palestinians and to retain that land, and then to exclude the Palestinians from their own property and subjugate them so that they can't arouse and demonstrate their disapproval of being robbed of their own property. That's what's happening in the West Bank. And the people in this country, in America, never know about this. They never discuss this. There's no debate about it. There's no criticism of Israel.
Well, Jimmy Carter died. In my mind, a great president. Everyone talks about how Jimmy Carter is a great ex-president. I thought he was a great president, but that's a debate that, for those of us alive, we lost a long time ago. But history may judge Jimmy Carter better than Ronald Reagan did. After all, well, let's not talk about how Ronald Reagan played the Iranian hostage. I really, no one cares about government breaking the law anymore, so let's not talk about it. But yeah, Jimmy Carter was, to me, a great, honorable president, and arguably, maybe other than George H.W. Bush, which I'm not quite sure of. I think Jimmy Carter was our last statesman who was president. Bill Clinton is just a childish, spoiled brat of the population boom generation. Same with George W. Bush, just a boomer brat. And then you've got the fakester Obama, folks. He wasn't a statesman. He was just a pretender. Obama had huge power. What did he do with it? He had huge moral persuasive power. What did he do with it? Jimmy Carter used his power, both persuasive and otherwise, for good. What did Barack Obama ever do that was good for anyone other than himself? Just stop right there. What did Jimmy Carter do Barack Obama do for anyone other than himself? And then you have the dying, fading, raging at the night of the racist regime, Joe Biden, racist, misogynist, whatever word you want to use. But women are all for Joe Biden because it fits their narrative. But Joe Biden, thank God, is going to be the last president we have out of that Democratic school busing. The biggest thing actually that Biden did to hurt minorities, I think, was Delaware got rid of usury laws, basically, on credit cards. Credit cards have created more slaves than anything in history, and it all's out of Delaware. Joe Biden's a disaster. The Democratic Party is just a complete, I don't know what it is, guys. We've turned it over to this idea that women can run everything better than men, and it's been thousands of years of patriarchy. Whatever that means. Whatever the hell that means. But that's what our education system talks about now. And that's what we have. So I don't want to debate it, but that's our great experiment. Just plow unqualified women into top positions, let men do the grunt work, and that's going to be a better society. I don't see any evidence of it. And in what we're fighting at, I'll show you Charles Gasparino. Can't stand that guy. Just can't stand that guy. Ann Wagner, another unqualified female. Look, there's a lot of unqualified men out there too. So I'm not trying to say there aren't. Yeah. I can't stand this guy. This guy is a joke. But oh, I'm not presenting to you. Sorry. I'll present to you now. Wokeness is in. Wokeness is in retreat. But look at this. Consider the boneheaded NASDAQ diversity rules. This is what you get when you get womanism. Everything's got to be fair and even. Truth, you can look it up. Truth is way down on the list. And men look at it differently. I'm not saying which is better. All I'm saying is it's a huge experiment, and I don't think it's working. Consider the curious case of NASDAQ diversity rules. In other words, NASDAQ has edicts to force every company who lists there to choose a board of directors that has to have intersectionality, whatever the crap that is. It's got to be racially, sexually, and genderly diverse, as opposed to competence. And I'm not saying white men, straight men, are the most competent. I'm saying you should have a board. If you're investing money, you should have a board that's competent, whoever the hell it is. Sure, diversity is a worthy goal. I don't agree with that. Competence is a worthy goal. If it ends up with all women, it's all women. How did white women, by the way, go to the front of the line of victimhood? How? But no one worries about that. Diversity is a worthy goal, but demanding outcomes in hiring practices such as diversity, equity, and inclusion is counterproductive. Forcing it on corporate boards, on NASDAQ, since 2020 is scary. Making sure the CEO isn't robbing the place blind is the law. NASDAQ, this is this woman in charge. NASDAQ has turned decades of corporate law on its head at the height of the so-called justice movement. I'm not going to read that next sentence. Here she is. This is who's looking out for Finger Motion and other companies. This is the CEO of NASDAQ. And look how compassionate she is and how intelligent she looks and knowledgeable, caring. We're going to have inclusivity. Well, what about following settlement, Edina? What about following, I thought her name was different, but Edina. What about following settlement rules? She doesn't care. She just doesn't care. Under Edina Friedman, NASDAQ joined the social justice movement, which was all the rage in 2020, womanism. She demanded that listed stock companies board, I screwed that up. She demanded that listed companies make their board of directors. What does stock have to do with? She demanded that listed companies stock their board of directors who were not the target of progressive ire during the Erie time. What? That's a shitty sentence. Anyway, she didn't want straight white men on her board. Each company must have or explain why it does not have at least 2 members of its board of directors who are diverse and self-identifies as female. And 1 director who self-identifies as underrepresented minority or LGBTQ+. That's Edina Friedman. That's the person in charge of looking out for your wealth. There she is. What's important to her is DEI, not settlement. And now Gasparino has written a book. I wouldn't buy it. There's no link between performance and diversity. I would say it's the other way around. If you put people in just who haven't lived 20 years, 30 years in the industry, why should they be on a board? Anyway, I don't really want to go down this loser argument, but this is the person who's in charge of your wealth. She allows naked criminal selling of shares that do not exist, but she's more worried about diversity, inclusivity. Well, it's equal opportunity. Her market destroys the wealth of minorities, of women who own most of the wealth, financial wealth in the United States, and straight white males. That's her. But man, she's the one I want to give the job. We are going to have equity here on NASDAQ. As what'll be interesting, how many companies does she delist this year? 1,000? 1,500? No curiosity, because she's brain dead. No curiosity as to why. All right, let's get off of Adina Friedman. After all, I just got off of yours. Silver Mine, that if you say something like that again about Jimmy Carter, you're gone. You're not old enough to know Jimmy Carter. But anyway, well, you know, the Jimmy Carter also was extreme. You're right. He's very conservative fiscally, and he deregulated. He appointed Paul Volcker, and he beefed up the military. The only decision he made that at the time I didn't know it was bad, as I look back on it, he put the United States power system, I think at the time, was almost 50% coal. Coal's the one thing that's bad for the climate. All right, let's look at some stock prices. It looks like I'm going to be wrong about my belief that Railtown AI would have a rally before year end. It's at 32 cents, essentially 33 cents, 32 to 33. I still stand by that stock is on the verge of big things. But I was correct that the last couple of weeks was going to be slow for Nixie, but it turns out it was also slow for Rail. So we have one more day, but I'm not hopeful. I think Rail will be a January event, but I think Railtown AI is it's not a short story. So Adina Friedman has nothing to do with it. It's not really a settlement story. So Adina Friedman has nothing to do with it. It has no equity. If you look at the presentation, let me show you the presentation. Women are there, but they're not there just because they're women. Here's the team. You've got Marwan Haddad, minority, I suppose. You've got Corey Brandolini, minority in a way. It used to be anyone with a vowel at the end of their name was a minority. I don't think that's true anymore. So Marwan and Corey both have experience in software development, and they've also sold their companies. I don't know if it's here. But anyway, they've sold their companies to the likes of Microsoft. You've got Dr. Elliot Holtham. I guess he qualifies as one of the original white males. Kevin O'Neill. The Irish used to be a minority, but I'd say they've made their way into the patriarchy. Andy Moak, no idea. Matthew Bolton, I guess he's one of the original bad guys. Yemi Bunzia, a minority. Chris Gerard, I can't tell. Rebecca Kurzweil, we got a white woman jumping to the front of the line in investor relations. Then we have Paul Woodward, CFO. He looks like one of the bad guys. Just a simple, straight, white male name. Dr. Haber, minority. Ali Sanawi, minority. Rob Goring, I'm going to assume minority. And Anna Maria Parente in for VP of Human Resources. Anyway, this is Railtown. But look at the story. I wonder if this will play. Maybe we should play that instead of me talking. See what they say.
Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Matt Lateplo, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Railtown AI Technologies, Inc. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Corey Brandolini,
Hey, good.
CEO, co-founder, and director of Railtown AI Technologies, Inc., which trades on the OTC markets under the symbol RLAIF and on the CSC under the symbol RAIL. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you everybody for joining in to hear about Railtown. It's a little early here on the West Coast, so this is the earliest presentation I've ever given, so please bear with me. So first of all, I'd like to say that what we do at Railtown and walk you through some slides, and
all right, do it quickly.
If there's any Q&A, we'll dive in there as well. So Railtown, we're building at Railtown what we call application general intelligence for software development. And that might be a lot to chew off and understand very quickly, but as we move through the slides, it'll begin to make sense for everybody.
Okay.
So a couple of early points right out of the get-go. Railtown, you have a large team of senior technology leaders. We've built many large scalable and enterprise solutions over the years. We also have a strong team in capital markets experience. 100% of our intellectual property was built and developed in the West Coast here in Canada. And it's 100% our own intellectual property. We have multiple provisional patents around our AI, and we've been training our machine for multiple years as well. We have a very large expanding vertical market that we apply our AI to, and we have a large beta testing community that works with Railtown. Our application has no barrier to entry, and as I explained through the slides, that'll begin to make sense to you. We've also, because we started this process in building Railtown 3.5, 4 years ago, started to train our AI. It's given us what we consider a first mover advantage into our space.
First mover.
We've also are a certified Microsoft partner. We worked with Microsoft in the early days as we started to build and deploy our AI, and we've continued that relationship. We've also graduated to what's called Microsoft co-sell status, which allows Microsoft enterprise sales to sell our solution. We've also established a large Microsoft enterprise partner to act as our enterprise solution provider on the sales side. And we have battle-tested solutions now as we're going to commercialization. This is a high-margin SaaS solution business that we're in. And as Matt said in the beginning, we're listed on the CSC under the symbol RAIL, and we have just recently filed and begin to trade on the OTC. So what are we doing at Railtown? So we're developing what we call application general intelligence for software developer agents. Software developer agents have been purposely built to do a multitude of tasks that will assist and to eliminate repetitive tasks that to improve software development, increase productivity, drive down inefficiency, improve product quality, lower costs, and accelerate your engineering team and the team velocity. In the world of software, there's a ton of mundane tasks that are repetitive over and over again that are handled by manpower. Our vision at Railtown was to build an AI assistant, or an agent, as we say, that will pick up and execute a lot of these tasks on behalf of the developer so that the engineer can spend time on productivity and developing new applications. As I said in the beginning, we're a Microsoft partner, and we have the same philosophy along with Microsoft as how they're applying artificial intelligence as a tool, as an agent, as an assistant for very specific tasks. And as you may or may not know, Microsoft is very heavily involved in that, applying artificial intelligence to their workflows like Microsoft Office, as well as their product GitHub and their GitHub Copilot product. So we're obviously big believers in the same ideology as Microsoft and how we're deploying our software, our AI, to a very specific vertical marketplace. As I said, we agree with Bill and Satya on how AI should be applied, and we're applying our same model and methodologies the way Microsoft does as well. We're fully integrated with all of Microsoft solutions, so anybody that is using a Microsoft tool in development of AI or development of software, they can apply our application directly into their tool stream. So it's an easy onboarding for our application with customers that are using Microsoft services already. So why is AI important for software development? As I mentioned in the beginning, software development is a complex process of building and deploying software and maintaining software. And about 40% of your engineering time is spent dealing with issues that arise in the application while it's running, as well as issues that arise every time you deploy a new piece of software to your application. And that number averages out around 40% of your software resources, your developer resource, is spent debugging and dealing with the technical debt that arises in the application. So for example, if you're using a Zoom stream or any application, you will have a team of developers that are working in the background to make sure that software application doesn't crash in real time, or that a bug arises in real time that causes something catastrophic like an email leak or credit card exposure. So today, human beings are handling those tasks. There's multiple tools that help notify you about what's going on in your application, but still there's a manpower element that developers have to dive into in order to fix this issue and deal with it in real time. This is where we come into the world of AI as it applies to software development and management. And we started to build our AI to pick up that workload that handles all those issues, so human beings can stay forward on developing product while your AI agent will go up, recognize the issues, call them out, and in cases, if you choose to do, have your AI fix these issues for you. On the right-hand side, there was a research, as I talked to see, the 85 billion in GDP lost from bad code and developer time spent fixing it. It's a significant number, and that was a report written by Stripe Payment Capture, and they'd recognize this issue themselves. So this is a really, really big marketplace for us and where we apply our AI. So as I said in the beginning, we've calculated, and as most other companies we've spoken to, the number is pretty consistent. It's about 40% of your engineering productivity loss is dealing with these issues that arise that I was mentioning: problem solving, debugging, repetitive tasks, retesting your fixes, and dealing with the technical that arises. And so we built our AI to tackle that main problem that happens to every development team. And our three core agents, as we call them, specifically deal with this. We have what's called an AI agent, an AI assistant, that you can communicate and act humanistically between your developer and your application. So you're communicating with your application almost like it's a coworker and a partner, and the AI will speak to you about how it's feeling and how it's managing and what it's recognizing and what's happening in the application, where it's happening in the application. And then our root cause analysis agent will suss out these issues before they arise at the end user level, and will call out the problem, and will even suggest a fix and how this issue is to be dealt with before the application happens, something bad happens within the application. And this is really groundbreaking stuff, and we're really excited as this is rolling out, and our customers are getting great response from it as well. Also, our AI will communicate, and we talk about progress reports. It'll speak to you back as your application is running real time, and tell you in very descriptive language how it's managing and how it's running. So this is something that, again, we'd started developing 3.5, 4 years ago, when we started to train our machine to get it to the point where anybody's software application now becomes a partner in your deployment and building of your software. So as I said, that one of the main pieces of our application is our AI assistant, and this is a chat interface that has an agent in it that will actually talk back to you as any questions you may have about how your application is running, and it'll respond to you and it'll bring out things that it has seen in the application and even suggest where the fix needs to be happened. And then you can ask the system to run that fix and make that change on behalf of the application. So again, really, really groundbreaking stuff, and we've just seen some phenomenal numbers from our customers. In many cases, our customers are saying they're saving about 8 hours per dev per week in the early days of them running the application. So the results have been fantastic. So for example, from the AI assistant interface, this is what it looks like to the customer. You can ask it anything that the application is showing you, and the system will give you an answer, talk to you, let you know something about the application. And in this piece of this interface of the AI, you can ask it to create something, do something, or actually write the fix for you and go back there and make the changes on behalf of the engineer. So really, really exciting how this is rolling out for our customers. One of the other main things that we did in the early days was trained our machine to understand what something as simple as a software bug was. So it could recognize what language the bug was in, understand how it's affecting the application, where in the application this bug is arising, and specifically will point to where the code change in the application that's causing this error to arise, and therefore eliminating a long investigative period for a developer have to go through the process to try and understand what this bug is and what it's causing, what potential damage it's causing. And the other thing too that our system does and our root cause analysis agent does, it will recognize an error that's about to happen previously for it to hit the end user. And this is really important because as it does so, it catches the error before it causes anything catastrophic. And you may have experienced yourselves using software where something's happened where the application crashes, or even things that can be even more catastrophic where a software bug will inevitably cause something as bad as credit card exposures or anything along those lines that can be very damaging to not only the end user, but to the product's brand as well. So having this agent running for you in the background at the application will save anything that could happen along the way that could cause the software to crash or anything catastrophic to cause serious financial damages to the company. And then thirdly, that the AI is there's a machine language, there's build language, a software language, and this is very much software for engineers to read and understand. What our AI does as well is it translates everything in software language into plain English, so every single stakeholder in the company can interact with the AI in order to understand what's going on with their application. It could be anybody from the marketing team, the sales teams, the senior management. Every stakeholder in the application will now be able to communicate directly to the application so they can understand what's going on with their dev team, how their productivity is looking. Are we increasing our velocity this month? Is our engineers producing more product? So the one thing that we wanted to make sure that our AI did was provide value to every single stakeholder in the software company, from the most junior engineers all the way up to the CFO and CEO as well. So really, again, a unique function that we built into our system. How do we do it? Yeah. So I think this is important as we get to understanding what separates Railtown from what you may have seen or heard around the internet today. Obviously, many people have had a chance to play with things like ChatGPT or Bard, two wonderful services that they're large language models. You may have heard that term, and these are AIs that have been trained on the wider web, if you will, everything that's available on the internet. Companies like ChatGPT and Google have trained their large language model on that. So when you ask the questions, it's scouring around Wikipedia, if you will, and thinking about a humanistic way of responding to that. What we've done at Railtown is different. Our machine is trained on what we call targeted language, meaning everybody's own individual software application becomes its own language model, if you will. So if somebody has a mobile app that they've built to sell organic candy online, their data and their intellectual machine data behind their application is the LLM, if you will, and where our AI is training on that in real time. So it's very specific to each individual company's own application. So this is data that is not available anywhere else that any other machine or LLM have access to. So we started this in the very beginning because we wanted to build this for ourselves so we could train our own machine on our own very specific data sets. And this is why we call this application general intelligence. So our machine knows the entire totality of everybody's application from its data sources. So it's a very unique model, and also that data is protected and not available anywhere else on the internet for other applications to have access to train on. So this is how, and our customers really like this too, because this also gives their data a separation and it doesn't bleed into other sources or other machines. So it's very, very protected and walled off data that their own AI now is training on top of. I'll break that down a little bit more. So in software development, there are three main sources of data, and they're all different types of disparate type data. And the three sources are ticket data, which is the blueprint of what you're trying to build. And so if somebody's creating a ticket or a work item, it'll be the knowledge about what a task is being assigned to a developer, i.e. we need you to build this, and here's the architecture and the plan of the knowledge of what you're trying to build. So behind the ticket, there's an immense amount of data as what each software engineer is building. The next thing is after that developer has taken on that ticket and completed his task, he's deployed that build to a server. And so once that build hits a server, that's the second layer that our AI starts learning and training from, is how that build is functioning on that server and as it's connected to the application that's running in real time. So now it's training on two different sources of data to come up with an understanding and learn from how the application is running and functioning. And finally, it trains on what's called log data or observability data, meaning how the application is going on at the production level, is how everybody's interacting with the service. And from those three different sources of data, the AI has a deep understanding of what each software application is doing and how it's supposed to be functioning. So it understands from the knowledge level of what you were trying to build, how it's being deployed and how it's functioning at the server level, and then how what's happening at the end user level through the logging data or the observability data. And so from there, the AI has to think very quickly and learn very quickly as to how your application is supposed to run and how it's run and how each developer's working within that application in order. So a very unique model and what we've built here at Railtown. Very quickly noted here at the bottom, I thought this call is people important to note, is there was a report written by Goldman Sachs as how they feel AI and generative AI is going to affect the global GDP over the next dozen years. Significant numbers as we're seeing the growth, and we'll show some examples here. A couple of things to note here as we're clicking down here in time is how big is the marketplace for software developer tools? It's already a very, very big market. There is no bigger market in the world than software development. Software runs the world, as we all know. So this is a gigantic space with a large opportunity of growth and continued growth. As you see here, the global annual cost on software developer tools in 2020 was about $11 billion. Looking to rise to about $21 billion in annual cost by 2025. What's unique about this is in the world of software development, every company will use maybe half a dozen different tools to build and maintain and deploy software. So it's a really big marketplace. On the other side, what you're seeing is the growth of software AI-aided tools that are going to be applied to different software markets. And one thing to note in this market, even though you'll be seeing, well, that looks like an additional cost on top of what's going on already on the left-hand column. This is true, but what we're recognizing and are seeing is the value that the AI is bringing to the company is proving that it's actually becoming a cost positive because of the productivity gains that AI is applying to that world. So even though you might be spending X amount of dollars per month on software tools, and adding AI on top of it becomes another cost, what you're actually seeing is your productivity accelerate. And that's, again, what we set out to do here at Railtown, is increase your productivity time. Therefore, you're getting that cost benefit that's saved by actually your productivity gains that the AI is providing. GitHub, a company you may or may not know of, they are a subsidiary of Microsoft. Again, is following up on that Goldman Sachs report. They've calculated that of the $7 trillion of GDP gain that AI is going to have on an effective productivity, therefore they see that about 1.5 trillion of that is going to be applied directly into the world of software tools, which is obviously where we live. Further to that, another note that I want to call out is Microsoft, a really great milestone for them on their GitHub Copilot, which is an AI tool that helps you write code at a quicker, faster, and complete your code to builds at a much quicker level. They've now passed 1 million paying customers on that are using their Microsoft tool. This is really exciting for us because this is now proof in the pudding that people on a day-to-day use will pay for the value of AI at the singular level, actually right down to the one developer. So again, seeing productivity gains just at the code writing level, allowing you to write code faster, if you will. We're already seeing now a massive uptake in the consumer level of using that product. Railtown, as I said in the beginning, fully integrates with all of Microsoft developer suite of services. So it's a really easy add-on for our customers. A couple of quick comps here. I know I'm running out of time here. Obviously, what Microsoft tool sets are and where we fit, I suspect you have access to this deck. We've actually looked at Railtown very differently than Microsoft, as we've been partnered with them in the early days. If you were to think of GitHub's Copilot tool in a worldly comparative, you would think of software, a tool helping you write software is like helping somebody write music. And that would be the artist, and Railtown would act as the conductor of the orchestra, if you will, is how the application or how the song is being played, if you will. So it's a great complement for the writer, and then how the actual application needs to be running and how it's running properly and how it runs properly while people are adding more software to the application in real time. So we've carved out a very specific market space that's a complement to that world. And as I said in the very beginning of the presentation, we have a large team of software enterprise experts. We've been building and maintaining and running software for many, many years, both on the AI side and on the big application side. And we're really excited about where we are and how we've grown over the past 3.5 years. As I said in the beginning, the first part of our journey was building our machine and training our machine. It takes time for your AI to get to what we consider fully optimized, that a customer will pay for that and get the benefit for it, and it'll deliver the results that they're looking for. So just this last late summer, we started to go commercial in a very a beta level of bringing our customers in that are lining up to get into the application. And as we march out to our next couple of quarters, we'll be opening up our application on a fully broad level. Yeah, really exciting times for us right now. There's just this quick snapshot of the cap table, as we said in the very, very beginning, fully trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange, the CSE. And as now we've filed and we've been approved now to start trading on the OTC, with our symbol being RTAI and F for foreign. So that's it. That's about 23 minutes. I know that might be a lot to chew. I would like to make also note that I'm available for one-on-ones, as the OTC has provided that service for everybody here. So yeah, happy to do one-on-ones and actually give live presentations as well of the AI. I know we don't have time to do that on a conference like this, but we'll happily.
All right, that was great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so Railtown, you heard from Corey Landini. Stock is not doing that well to close the year. I mean, it's not doing badly. It's just like every other stock, everyone's on vacation. But is that it, Lucky? I think the chances of that stock rallying by the end of the year are diminishing. The next one, Nixie, is up. I won't play any from Nixie, but Nixie's up 21 cents, $4.54. I think I played you the video of the interim CEO. A little bit of a ham. It looks like January will be its time. These other stocks, ZJYL, down 9 cents, but this is a non-event day. Trump Media is down $2 because I guess that woman at Bergdorf Demon or whatever, it looks like he's losing his case against her. GDC's down 11 cents. G-Bucks is down 6 cents. Nvidia's up. GME's slightly up. Finger is down 13 cents at 115. And I guess those are our stocks. I think Ham will call in when he's done his therapy, but it's not yet. It'll probably be at least 10 or 15 minutes. All right. You have to understand what is going on. The company is solid. The CEO seems on the ball. Who is doom and gloom? So what's Bob saying? I don't know. Bob is saying something. Bob is saying something, and I can't find out where it starts. Oh, up here, maybe. Competence on the operating table, just competence. That's all it should be. It should be competence. Bob's one of those guys that doesn't think Jimmy was a great president. Well, I'm in a minority. I think he was a good president. But his name was Jimmy Carter. Let me see what Bob's saying. I don't know what. Sorry, Bob, my eyesight isn't quite up to speed, so I don't know what stock you're talking about. Well, all right, let's see what Bob's talking about. It is one of the stocks that I wish I had never heard about. Which one, though? Okay, so it's Sonowatt. Oh, Finger. Yeah. Yeah, Bob. I heard, who was it I was listening to over the weekend? Some analyst that's older was saying that he's not afraid of volatility, he's afraid of risk. And his point was that some stocks are volatile in their price action, but as long as the company's not going out of business, so there's a permanent impairment to your investment, volatility just gives an opportunity to invest. But Bob, I lost a lot of money in Finger last year, particularly. Sorry, it's this year. It's this. Now I'm confused. That was last year. For that, when I went to do that interview for the movie, and I wouldn't say that was a moment of awareness, but it was painful. I lost quite a bit while I went to do the interview under pressure. Where are you? Why aren't you there? Are you dead? They're waiting for you. And when I showed up, no one was there. But that was a really expensive day for me. Very expensive on Finger. And it did kind of mark the end of my larger position in Finger and in options. But as time goes by, people, you got to adjust. I did to why you're in something, what you think about it, and all that. And I've interviewed the CEO, met with the CEO several times, and I do believe that Finger Motion has a great fundamental story. But I'm not as keen on the idea that it's going to short squeeze anytime soon. It could, but I think the time frame for me for Finger is if there's any announcement on a revenue deal which blows expectations out of the water. And we're coming into the Chinese New Year, so I'm a little bit cautious on expecting anything along those lines for I don't know, 30 days, 45 days. Chinese New Year is the 29th, and I think that my memory when I lived in Kuala Lumpur is it's weeks. I mean, it's certainly days of celebrating, but I think it's weeks of celebrating. And I was a kid, so I'm not trying to be an expert on that. I just remember it's a big block of time. I also think the other thing that will change the Finger story is when they finally have predictable, repeatable, growing, projectable revenues, cash flows, and earnings. And I think that's going to become more clear or more in focus after the fourth quarter Finger Motion earnings are reported, which should be, I think, April 15th. So I'm more on a I guess that Finger Motion is a good investment point of view. And I think it's a good trade here at the year end. I think Finger Motion can double or triple from this price, which used to be, even if it just went up 50%, those used to be great returns. But we're now in this Z generation of investing where everything has to go up 10 times tomorrow or today or by 2 p.m. But anyway. Yeah, Finger for the squeeze, staying for the fundamentals. Yeah. I don't mind you stating your opinion at all. I get frustrated, and I'm going to change that, by the way, as we go into the new year. Otherwise, I'm going to quit doing this. To the boo birds or the cowards or the paid shills, I'm going to try not to respond to them unless they fool me. Because look, if you're here and you don't believe that there's a problem in the U.S. markets with settlement, primarily that's it, settlement. In the bigger stocks, like a Tesla, for example, well, you've got big pools of money, maybe a Fidelity, maybe a California State Teachers Pension Fund, who have money that they're putting on the long side in Tesla. And then they're going to have research analysts, they're going to have trading desks, almost as if they were on Wall Street. And so those companies can fight the high frequency trading, the selling of shares that don't exist, the outright fraud that Adina Friedman, in all of her self-certainty and womanhood, is her only qualification, lets happen. Well, they can fight it because they have buyers. So when the stock gets to the wrong price, there's price discovery. But I would argue that it still hurts Tesla sometimes. But in the small stocks, there's no recovery. And if you don't believe it goes on, well, I guess from now on, I'm just not going to fight that battle. If you don't believe it, then this probably isn't the point of view for you to be listening to. Well, Bob, it's my fault. His name is spelt with an S. It's my fault. I put it up with a C. But I'm not sure it's disappointing. There was another analyst I was listening to. I've been doing a lot of listening, so you don't have to analysts in the mining space. And one of the guys, again, an older guy, he said that when you're a growing company and you need capital, the time to raise capital is when you can, not when you need it. And that has a certain ring the bell with what Finger did. But Bob, you still don't know. And I don't either, unfortunately. But you still don't know what the money's being used for. So let me just give you an example, Bob. If Finger Motion is going to use, let's pick a number, 80% of the $4.6 million it raised. Let's say 4 million out of the 4.6. Let's say they're using that $4 million, and I'm making this up. I don't know what they're using it for, but let's say the city of Zhengzhou and the city of Guangxi and the town of Hoxi and the metropolitan area of Mao Zedong all sign up for these drones and these SUVs, and they give an order to Finger Motion of 40 or 400 vehicles, I don't know, and it costs 10 or 20,000 per vehicle to put in there. I can't do the arithmetic in my head, but Finger Motion has to advance that cash to honor those contracts. And then let's say they deliver the vehicles, and let's say it's 400. I don't know, I'm making it up. And I don't know, 90 days, 100 days, 120 days, the governments of those various contracts pay Finger Motion. And let's just assume that Finger Motion, I don't know, what's reasonable? What's their profit margin? 50%? 60%? 40%? Let's just say it's 50%. So let's say Finger Motion in 90 days turns $4 million into $8 million. That doesn't sound that great. I know it's not, well, but already the 4 million is less dilutive than it appears to you, because now it's turned into 8 million. And let's say now the city of the Lilac Tree and the town of the Great White Tiger and the desert region of the Roaring Mouse order more vehicles. And these vehicles, now it's 800 vehicles. And so they take $8 million, they invest in it. 90 days later, it turns into 16 million. And I'm making these preposterous numbers up. But so in 90 days, 4 million turns into 8. 90 more days, 8 million turns into 16. 90 more days, 16 million turns into 32 million. Well, you can quickly see, if I'm right, that by raising money now, even though the criminality drives the price down, it is possible that Finger Motion is on the verge of doubling its capital that Finger has available for building out rescue vehicles every 90 days. And that doubling starts to have a real impact on the size of the company. Now, for you and I, we sit here and or you and me, I forget, but we sit here and go, oh, it's not happening. I'm tired of it. I've been waiting so long. Yeah, that's human nature. But to a new investor with a research analyst who might say, this company is growing at 50% every 90 days in terms of this one contract. And she might say, this should be a main part of your China, Southeast Asia portfolio. And then you start seeing money comes in that's not short term like we are, but has a 5-year horizon like a Fidelity or a teacher's pension fund or a ETF. And the money start coming in because of that growth potential in government spending. I don't know. It's one way to look at it, but it's going to take time. So that's disappointing. It's not right away. It's not the instant gratification that's going on in the stock market, in NVIDIA, in Bitcoin. These are signs of manias, by the way. These are totally signs of manias. I still stand by my prediction that the stock market has a blow off top coming. But you must be concerned by the fact that the bond market worldwide, particularly in the UK, but to a lesser extent here, is rejecting Janet Yellen and the simp Powell. They're rejecting their pressures to keep interest rates down. The US mortgage market is starting to show resistance to artificial numbers. In the United States, in an administration run by the DEI educated generation, all the data is false because our education system is now run by women. And I don't care, you're going to get mad at me, but there are studies out there run by women. The studies get run by women. Truth is not the first requirement to women in general. Truth is way down on the list. It's complicated, comes out ahead of truth in multiple choices when women are asked what is important. Men, jerks like me, truth comes right up top. So men will fight. They'll argue because they want to get to the truth. Which is better? I have no idea. I have no idea. God created us years ago. He didn't create man. He didn't create woman. He created two of us for some reason. So there's strengths on both sides, I assume. And my guess is women are the more powerful sex because that's how I've experienced it all my lifetime. But they, for some reason, they want to throw that away with this idiotic DEI run by ugly, unattractive, angry women from the Kate Middle generation of sexual politics. I'm so tired of it because we don't talk up against it. And so we're paying the price. And one of the prices is in the NASDAQ. But I'm sorry, I should have eaten something. I'm getting, these are negativo, very negativo areas to go down. But let's talk about something other. Yeah, man or woman, truth. But see, you're a man. I'll try to find, there was a video I listened to the other night, late at night, by a woman. And she went through the questions. And when a woman is, I'm going to paraphrase, but when a woman is asked, what's more important, equity or truth? Bob, do you know what the answer that comes out number one? It's complicated. When a man is asked what's more important, equity or truth, there's a hands down winner, truth. It's just, we are different. We're not the same. We're not the same. I don't care if you dye your hair blue, put a moose ring in your nose. We're different. We are different. And men are geared for one area, women for another, but combined, we're strong. But unfortunately, modern society separates us. Why? I think, I hate it that I think this way now. I think it's so that the government is stronger than the family, stronger than we are as individuals. And anyway, let's not get too lost in that. My fault, by the way. It's just something I've been thinking about. It's best to hear Martin speak on the company's behalf. Yes, John. The problem is that the financing, I believe the financing has been completed in the sense that the company received their money. Although I suppose something could come up. But on the firm, on the 23rd, the firm announced that they received their money from the $5 million closing. Of course, Roth Capital takes its 20% off the top, or more than that, takes 400. Anyway, you can figure out, maybe it's less than that, but it takes its money out of the top. I'm not sure Roth Capital is finished with its obligation to stabilize the market, because Roth Capital, in its wisdom, when the stock was trading higher, 270, 260, 2.25, picked 150 as the proper valuation, and here the stock sits. I don't think Roth Capital has done its job, and I'll be more clear on that. If Roth Capital, my opinion, if Roth Capital does not stabilize the price of finger motion at approximately $1.50, hopefully a little higher, it's a shit investment bank. Totally unqualified as an investment bank. And then if it stays down here, I'll be convinced that Roth Capital exists as a flow through to their buddies, the shorts. But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I have an open mind. We'll find out. My suggestion is, though, John, that it's the end of the year. People are away. They're on vacation. So let's see what happens in the first, second, third week of January. And let's give Roth Capital a chance to get some support in the market from their clients, from research, from their own buying, and get finger motion back to $1.50, $1.60, like a real investment bank does. And I'm going to bet, my bet is going to be on the side that they're a real investment bank. But to get to your point, they have put a restriction on the CEO a finger for the time being that while this transaction is ongoing, and see, there's my assumption that there's a little bit of an ongoing nature to the transaction. I might be wrong. That the CEO, before he can speak or make any comment at all, he's got to run it through Roth Capital. So we're in this period, John, of Roth Capital's time to perform. To my view, Roth Capital sucks, but and works for the shorts. But I'm open-minded, and I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope that Roth Capital is actually here as a true investment bank. And we'll find out. Yeah, the government does want to keep us separate and fighting. And I recognize that some of the things I say are provocative, but I grew up all my life I wouldn't say I was unaware of issues that needed to be more fair between women and men and between minorities and pale faces like myself. But I never grew up in a family or in any, well, actually, I went to college in the South. That's the first time I saw just bald racism. And I spoke out against it. With very little result. I was a freshman and I stood up in a room full of, I don't know, 150 people and sweating and nervous. I didn't want to stand, but no one else stood up, so I did. And I spoke out against it. And I remember one guy came up to me, made his way to me, and said that he went out of his way to come to me and said, Bill, I really appreciate that you did that and stood up. One other guy, he didn't have a chance to come to me or whatever, but as I stood with him, he also said a similar thing. So it was two guys out of 150, and they were all white males. Responded in a way that didn't make me feel like I really stepped in it. But that was a lesson. But I grew up without any kind of well, I'm hesitating because maybe in the new feminist thing where there's a paradigm and we're part of the patriarchy when we're born male. It's all horseshit. It is horseshit. How a little boy grows up with advantages, it makes no sense to me. We all grow up the way in our parents' initial hands and then later in societies. I don't know. Anyway, it's just to keep us arguing. My understanding is Univest never got off their fat rear end and did anything, ever. Univest signed up. My understanding is, we can ask Martin and find out, that Univest never made a presentation of a financing offering. That happens somewhat. Lots of times companies will put you up on the shelf for inventory while they work on other projects that are more urgent. So I don't think the relationship Finger's relationship with Univest was fruitful. That's not a piece of genius. Frommer and ENZ. I have no idea what you're talking about. Jeremy Frommer, ENZC. I have no idea what you're talking about. Nothing comes up. So let me go just ENZ, ENZC, ENZC. News. I don't know what you're talking about. Enzolytics? I mean, I wouldn't touch enzolytics. It's all crap. All the announcements are crap. Hidden gem in biotechnology? Promising contributions to infectious diseases, AIDS, shown encouraging results in initial studies. I think ENZC looks like crap. But I don't know what Frommer's doing with ENZC. Has he switched firms? I don't know. Hey, Giuseppe. Happy New Year. And yeah, let's make it Big JR. I wouldn't. Yeah, in another parallel universe, I wouldn't. Frommer has. I met Frommer. He seems intelligent, but he has no judgment. He has no judgment. People, as much as we don't want to see it, people do get a lot of their biases from the culture they grow up in. And we all grow up in separate cultures. And for whatever reason, Jeremy Frommer could not see that Jeffrey Easton is a liar. I think I know why, but that's all. NXU going crazy. I don't know what NXU is. Logic is apparently, I mean, obviously you've got tax laws selling. but they're doing a deal with MedLab. I've made myself available to help Logic. Logic got destroyed by Aubrey Advisors, etc. But I also think that the risk with Logic is that the CEO is going to do a deal with MedLab, which is toxic and destructive. I don't know how many times I don't want to use any names because I don't know for sure. But I don't know how many times people sign deals which are going to destroy. I think the risk, Bob, is Logic's about to do a deal with offshore MedLab that issues a lot of stock, and then they do a reverse split and rescues Aubrey Advisors clients. I would prefer to step up and kick the shorts rear end by bringing cash flow and a different strategy altogether and being open with everybody. But we'll find out. I have some phone calls in. I think the intention is very much on the side of shareholders. I think the integrity is there. I think the hard work is there. And I just think attorneys are liars, a lot of them. And I think they've separated the responsibility of CEOs to shareholders. They've separated it to this concept of responsibility to company first. And it's the criminals. It's the criminals in there. But I also think it's tax loss selling. I wouldn't give up. But it's they buy time. They got to do financing. They've got to raise more money, and then they have the CEO over the barrel, and it just gets to the point that the lawyers say, "Hey, if you don't do this, you're going to be in violation of that." It doesn't look pretty. Very little. What about Rail? I just played the CEO's comments in a presentation from their website. But Nick, it's for all these stocks, Logic, Finger, ZJYL, every piece of detritus in a person's portfolio, they're going to sell for tax loss reasons at the end of the year. If you go into your wealth advisor, otherwise known as stockbroker, they're going to say, I think you should get out of these, and you should put your money with the Merrill Lynch Trust Plus Bust Opportunity Fund. And never seen such a great chance to make 8% with an equity kicker. So why don't we take your money out of there, establish your losses, and put it with our managers at Merrill Lynch Asset Management. And that's going to go on. There's no buying. That's what's going to go on. Go ahead and invest in NXU. I know nothing about it. Couldn't Finger do the same deal with Univest instead of Roth? No. Look, the Roth deal on its surface is plain vanilla. What I don't trust about it is its institutional brokers, institutional clients. To me, that means the short sellers came in and priced the deal at $1.50 after they shorted it from 270 down, and they kept selling downward because they have some cowardly day traders in there as well. Also, I don't like that each unit had 1.5 warrants to 1 share of stock. Why so many? And why was it priced at $1.50 the warrant instead of $2 or $3? It raises alarm bells to me. Why? Because I think they can create derivatives on Adena Friedman's NASDAQ using those warrants as the the insect in the web to put the spider's web around and expand. I don't know what example to give, but that becomes the feedstock of an elaborate derivative schemer, in my opinion. But no, I think Univest would have been a worse deal. I think Univest would have been a lazy man's crappy deal. I don't think Univest necessarily no, I think Roth is better than Univest. But we'll find out if Roth actually intends to support the price they chose. That's true. Okay, let's look at that. Even if Roth works for the shorts unintentionally, it's only 8 million shares. What I'm worried about is the ability to create derivatives against the warrants. That's all. But I don't know. On the NASDAQ, Adena Friedman's NASDAQ, where she cares more about how many women are on the board than on settlement, companies that go on the NASDAQ are destroyed under Adena Friedman's leadership. It's just a fact. We'll find out. I'll look it up. We'll find out how many companies get delisted this year and then just completely written off in the over-the-counter markets. And no one cares. The guy that runs the over-the-counter market, Charles Cromwell, Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell, he doesn't care either. He doesn't care. As long as they can cash their checks. Yeah, the 60s wasn't great. But the 60s were in response to something. So, there might have been something wrong. Why would Finger be desperate? They have $4.4 million in cash. Why are they going to be desperate? They don't have debt. Why are they going to be desperate? They have a pretty tight model of revenue creation. Why is Finger going to get desperate? I don't see Finger getting desperate. It is a race now. Martin Shen has to perform. He has to turn earnings positive now. And he has to have 1 or 2 of his divisions turn into high margin business now. By now, I mean within 6 months. Otherwise, the next time he goes to the market, they'll do it even at a lower price. But he doesn't need to do a reverse split. I'm worried that if Logic goes forward with the deal, that the one deal they have on the table, they'll have to do a reverse split, and it'll be devastating. It already is devastating. I don't know the thought process, and I'd like to help Logic, and I've been reaching out. I guess I have to be more aggressive. The deal they did seems to indicate that. No, Bob? What would Martin do? Let's just assume. I have no idea. To me, there's only 2 or 3 areas where he would need money. He's current, as you know, Bob. He's flat in his revenue expense, basically, for the last year or so. So everything he does in top-up business, text messaging, and etc., basically covers the overhead. It's a little bit ahead of that. That's basically where he is. So what does he need the money for? It's not to go expand his top-up business. Maybe it is. I guess maybe that's one area. He wants to go expand low margin top-up business. But he said in the interviews, his focus is on increasing margin in his revenue book. So where could it be? It could be to spend money on the laboratory that he's running in conjunction with the insurance companies to come up with products that help insurance companies assess risk in China for fire, housing, automobile, motorcycle, etc. It could be that. But the insurance companies are paying the freight of that laboratory cost anyway. So I don't think it's going to be that. It could be that he's expanding his Netflix of Southeast Asia. That doesn't seem right to me, because he never talks about that. It could be that he's expanding his lifestyle app in some new area. If so, he hasn't talked about it, but that's a possibility. What else is out there that he could expand? Oh, his rich content messaging might need capital, I guess. But that seems to be growing already. But there's one. It could be that. It could be he needs money to expand his cloud computing clientele. But he already is getting those clients on a one-off basis. So to me, the most logical place where he needs money is his biggest contract by Impact, which is according, let's read it. Let's just read it. Let's not make it up. All right, let's just make sure you can see this. Yeah. Okay. Finger Motion, August 19. A data company announced its advanced mobile integrated C2 platform has integrated with the Maxis Vehicles Corp and has officially received national certification from China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology as the first certification of its kind. It's expected to allow Zhuji technology to expedite the distribution of emergency response vehicles China-wide. And China-wide isn't Rhode Island. China-wide is as wide as the United States. We are proud to receive this certification. This national certification from MIIT confirms quality, reliability, and other features. This is engineered to revolutionize the way emergency response is conducted in China. The vehicle is a fully self-contained and independent platform, which can handle the most difficult terrains, climate conditions, and outages. The pickup truck, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's one announcement. Oh. Okay, let's look at this one. Zhuji Technology, let's make sure you're seeing it. Yeah, you are. Okay, Zhuji Technology, that's Finger Motion, has received its first order for the C2 platform to be installed in all vehicles involved in the country. That's the country of China. That's not the country of Liechtenstein. All vehicles and apparati involved in the country's civil emergency crisis program. C2 platform unifies disaster communication systems, satellites, mobile cell towers, and drones. Voice, video, data into one interface. This will provide the federal, provincial, and local emergency response centers with enhanced real-time visibility. Real-time. Driven by the People's Republic of China's nationwide initiative to improve response capabilities for crisis and emergency situations, demand for the C2 platform and vehicles have increased dramatically. The first contract with Zhejiang province is for 2 vehicles. And Zhuji Technology has already been engaged by other provinces to install the C2 platform in additional vehicles. All right, so some of that's repetitive, but my point is the most logical place this $5 million net of Roth Capital's fees is being deployed is in those other vehicles to expand performance under this sole contract. It's Finger Motion's contract to provide these services. So I don't agree with you. And what should the CEO do? Turn it down? Let's come back to it after spring training has started. And if you're still around, we'll sign a contract. In the meantime, Juan Soto goes to a different team. In the meantime, the government says, hey, we can't rely on Finger Motion. Let's go over to Ford Motor Company and get this done. I don't know. So. Bye, Bob. I didn't mean to upset you at all. I was just trying to talk about it. I didn't mean to. I appreciated your input. Roth will want their investment. Yeah, I agree with that. But also, I think their clients, when I don't think the only clients they went to are the shorts. I think it's others as well. So I agree with you. I think Roth will do a research report. I agree with that. No, I think Bob is right in his observations. I don't think Bob's concern is unfounded, but I don't think they're desperate here. There, I agree. And Bob, I think structurally in the market, the lawyers and the shorts and the regulators have changed. The CEO in the securities laws is responsible to shareholders. Somehow they've injected the corporation as coming first, as if the corporation is the same thing as shareholders. And that's a sleight of hand only lawyers and regulators could get away with. Finger isn't doing a reverse split. Well, Bob has a right to worry about that. I don't think they are, but I didn't think Jeremy Fromner would do it. He did the mother of all shorts. He bailed the shorts out magnificently, almost as if he were paid by Jeff Easton's hedge funds. So I don't, Bob's not wrong to worry about it. It's a logical question. I worry about it with logic. Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, I feel badly. What I feel badly about Finger, I didn't tell people to buy it after sort of the $1 range, maybe $2 range. I don't think I ever did at that point either. But anyway, just all by memory. But I feel badly that I really bought into the argument that a short squeeze was going to work. And I think there was a short squeeze aborting with Finger. But I've learned that the criminals have a great reach, they have great power, and they have great impact. And You know, I wish I had recommended to people, take your profit, instead of believing that it would do this magnificent squeeze. What I've learned since is there's nobody on the regulatory side that cares about settlement. And Wagner doesn't care about settlement. Journalists don't care about settlement. Your broker dealer doesn't care about settlement. Goldman Sachs doesn't. Stevie Cohen doesn't. So I learned a lot. And I do think, I don't know what mechanical energy is versus potential energy and kinetic energy, but we have to use the various energies of the market to make money, and that's what we'll try to focus on. I regret that I didn't tell people, you know, Lou, Frank, and Gus have compromised the short squeeze, and they're doing what's best for their families, but this bubble has been popped. I didn't recognize it right at that time. Yeah, we are at war with the counterfeiters, but we also want to make money. And it's my opinion that the way to get covering in this market is when the counterfeiters are losing money. And they can lose money. That's why they come on here. That's why they continue to defraud. That's why they own Adina Friedman, or she's so stupid that she focuses, hey, I'm in charge. It's my turn to remake NASDAQ in the image of a bad Helen Reddy song. Yeah, the short squeeze is on the table. I agree, but it's price. Got to get the price up. Hey, boy, I'm sorry you're in pain. You're a good guy. The door's open. You can go out back. And the dividend could do it. There's no question. I think the dividend for Finger last time and the dividend for GTII did catch out the short. So I agree with you. I agree with you. Oh, a contract announcement. I haven't heard of a contract announcement, but that would be, if you know something, that would certainly change. If anything that comes out that changes the advantage, these criminals need fraud to win. Anything that can surprise that can cause the stock price to go up, and then a squeeze to come in. There's no question. My dog isn't doing that well. He's alert today. But I had to take him in, and he still has moments of interest and an occasional smile. So I'm not sure he wants to die yet, but his mobility and his continence both are in question. I agree with you, Bob. All right. So I guess Ham's not coming on. And he warned me he had to go to therapy. So I think I'm going to just go through the stock prices and call it a day. I'll come on tomorrow. Finger is now down basically 10 cents. Very low volume. Nixie's up, showing remarkable strength, 451 to 457. So maybe I guess my caution not to chase it into the end of the year was okay, but it hasn't pulled back very much. So maybe we'll have an exciting January in Nixie. Railtown is 32 to 30, 33 to 34, basically. Low volume. Let's see. I guess I'm going to be wrong that has a big close for the year. Nvidia's up. GameStop is up a penny. I still think silver and the miners we need to look at. There was one guy that accused me of stealing who invested in the little gold mining company that some of you did. That money hasn't arrived yet, so I'm not really free to talk about it, but as soon as that does, we'll have an update, and I'll give that guy an opportunity to be mature. What's MSM, natural anti-inflammatory? I'll write that down. MSM, natural. MSM, natural. MSM, mainstream media, natural inflammatory. All right, I'll look it up. They gave him a shot called, I don't have it here. Anyway, it's a shot, and he's doing better for his hips. All right, everybody, I guess Ham, I'm sorry, I thought Ham would come on, but it's almost 1 o'clock. So I'm going to wish everybody Happy New Year. I'll come on tomorrow early. I have a doctor's appointment for my eye, which is blind. And thank everybody for coming on. Hopefully we'll make some money in the beginning of the year and we can focus on miners and gold and silver, and etc. So anyway, peace, cheers, like in Happy New Year, cheers, and I look forward to speaking with everybody tomorrow.